Normally, advertisements don't make much of a news story, but this one does. The e-cigarette maker Juul has been taking out full-page newspaper ads for months, but it's not your normal sales pitch, and that's the hook. Pick up a print edition of the Boston Globe or the New York Times, and just a few pages in, boom, a full-page ad for Juul. The ad advocates for raising the vaping age limit and brags about getting rid of things that appeal to teenagers. What's jarring is the ads appear just pages away from articles saying vaping is a scourge on young people.
The separation of editorial and advertising is akin to the separation of church and state, and sometimes equally flawed.
That's for sure. And as University of Miami Business School Dean John Quelch says, Juul is clever, taking their marketing strategy right out of the big tobacco playbook.
And part of that playbook is obviously to be a good citizen, not just with respect to people who are consumers of the product, but to present themselves as a good citizen to the broader opinion leader community.
Juul's newfound good citizenship might have something to do with the fact that the big tobacco company Altria just bought into Juul to the tune of $8 billion. And Juul doesn't want the government regulating e-cigarettes the same way they regulate tobacco.
They are, of course, now in the hands of Altria and Altria's public relations expertise, and that is leading to these kind of advertisements that are to ward off regulation.
Regulation that could cut into profits. So in the meantime, look for more of that church and state dichotomy. Ads promoting Juul's goodwill on one page, stories about Juul's ill effects on society on the next. First of all, I'm not faulting the newspapers for taking these ads. It just really struck me. I was so curious about the nature of them, what was the mission is. They're trying to go state by state, getting states to raise the vaping age to 16 in order to 21, in order to avoid federal regulation. That's what this mission is all about. But, you know, for years, their advertising was geared directly to teenagers. I mean, if you look
we
back
could see it in that package, right? All these shots of
young
people having fun,
I mean, this idea
and
that
the flavors, mango.
They have dropped some in the flavors, but this idea that there's some altruism is just ridiculous.
And they've made this case, which I think was sort of hinted at in the visuals of the piece, but should be underlined. They have argued, oh no, we don't want to create any new Juul users. We want to wean people off cigarettes, and this is going to be beneficial. And the advertising puts the lie to that. I will say newspapers which are pressed for revenue are going to be in a really tough spot. I mean, should newspapers run ads for cars, given what we know about global warming? You could argue that they shouldn't. And if you start turning your... and I know it's not what you were saying.
No, I'm not saying that at all. By the way, I did do some research on this.
Yeah.
The New York Times told us, they were very honest with us, they said, these package deals, normally a full-page black and white ad can go for as much as $100,000. When you buy a package deal, and you buy a flight like that, that's a TV term, a flight, but it's down to about only $50,000 a day. But that's that's the lowest they'll go.
Yeah, I see the ads in my Wall Street Journal every other day, and I think that they're very clever. There's no doubt about it. But what I also see is them. I think the real issue really is let's get them to be regulated as a stop smoking aid, and then the FDA can regulate them, and that's what
they're trying to avoid.
They're trying to avoid that, and I think that's the real issue, and that's what this is skirting, and also having a 21 across the board national law against smoking and vaping, and that's the problem right now. It's state by state or local, and they're fighting all those.
I think it becomes a huge problem for journalists if, in fact, somebody on the editorial side says, let's have a little easier on the story about the vaping. But if that's not happening, then, they can buy the ad.
I mean, the New York Times was running ads all week, and it was front page, more than one front page story on Juul in the New York Times. One of them was really interesting about how they took all these products off the shelf that appeal to teenagers, and about these vulture copycats that came in and just replaced everything that, that wasn't there before.
A lot of pressure on newspapers, and of course, looking back historically, they lost all of their tobacco ads many years ago because that's no longer legal to do. And that's an interesting perspective to look at the Juul ads. How carefully they've constructed these. I would love to be in an advertising meeting with these folks to find out what they're going to be able to say.
And they're different geographically, by the way.
The ones that I've been seeing are all about what good guys they are because they're keeping kids off this. And of course,
they got rid of their social media.
As long as they spell the name right, they're getting the advertising they want there. Juul with 2 U's.
Yeah, that's right.